Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Copper Jacket TV. So jumping in front of the camera to bring you guys good news like this will never get old, and we got another big one today. So you might remember that I made a video about 4 days ago talking about how President Trump signed an executive order to protect the Second Amendment, and in that executive order he basically directed the DOJ to investigate and evaluate any ongoing litigation, any rules, regulations, policies, or procedures to see if they violated our Second Amendment rights, and then to bring that information to him. So this was a huge deal. I mean, this was monumental, but we still had to wait to see if something happened. Well, we finally got movement on that executive order, and it is big. So let's talk about it. Hey, if you're watching this video and you have not yet subscribed, I would greatly appreciate you hitting that subscribe button. It's free, it only takes a second, but it really does help us out here a lot. It helps us spread our message, it lets the powers that be know that this is content that people want to see, and hopefully it allows us to stick around for a little bit longer. So thank you to everybody who subscribes. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about what's going on here. So this is a very broad and sweeping executive order. Trump wanted the DOJ under Pam Bondi, and I trust Pam Bondi about 0.1%. And the reason that I trust her 0.1% is because I do feel like she's kind of a yes man and she'll follow Trump's orders. So there's a little glimmer of hope there. But he basically directed the DOJ to look at all the policies that were submitted under the Biden administration. What did the ATF do? What did all these three-letter agencies do? What did the federal government do? The Office of Gun Violence Prevention that the White House had set up, any ongoing litigation, all of that stuff was supposed to be under review. Well, we now know that the Department of Justice is putting on hold lawsuits, federal lawsuits, that are seeking to overturn or change some of the policies that were put in place during that time period. Now, from what I hear, there are multiple courts that have or will be receiving letters asking the courts to pause specific cases pending review due to Trump's executive order. The example that I have for you guys today is out of the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals. This is a case called Colon v. ATF. This is a case that challenges the brace rule. So I'm going to go ahead and read you the letter from the federal government to the court in that case so you can see what I'm talking about. So you can see here, this is Colon v. ATF, date filed 2/11, so just today. It says, pursuant to Federal Rule of Appellate Procedure 27, the federal government respectfully moves to postpone the oral argument scheduled for March 5th, 2025, and to hold this appeal in abeyance. This motion is opposed. Number one, in January 2023, the BATFE issued a rule describing how the agency will determine whether firearms with stabilizing braces attached are short-barreled rifles subject to restrictions of the NFA. See factoring criteria with attached stabilizing braces and so forth. Plaintiffs challenged that rule, and the district court entered a preliminary injunction prohibiting the government from enforcing the rule against plaintiffs and others. The government appealed, and this court has set oral arguments for March 5th, 2025. Number two, following a change in administration on February 7th, 2025, President Trump issued an executive order titled Protecting Second Amendment Rights, and it gives you more information below. Among other things, the order directs the Attorney General to examine various actions of executive departments and agencies to assess any ongoing infringements of the Second Amendment rights of our citizens and present a proposed plan of action to the President through the Domestic Policy Advisor to protect the Second Amendment rights of all Americans. And the order specifically directs the Attorney General as part of the process to review all rules. Number three, in light of that development, the government respectfully moves to postpone the March 5th oral argument and to hold this case in abeyance pending review of the challenged rule. An abeyance will conserve party and judicial resources and promote the efficient and orderly disposition of this appeal, including by ensuring that litigation is focused on enduring agency action and informed by the views of current agency leadership. The government respectfully proposes to update the court with the status reports every 60 days. Now, this is obviously great. Having a federal government that's working on your behalf to restore your rights is better than having one that's constantly coming up with 1,000 different ways from Sunday to try and infringe on them. So we know that. However, to me, this is not perfect, because what I think would be perfect would be to just simply have that three-letter agency remove the rule altogether. That would make this case moot. It wouldn't need to be there. There is no longer any type of proposed rule. It's just gone. So I would have somebody in place at that agency to get rid of all of the rules that had been created that overstep that agency's boundaries, where that agency has acted a lot like Congress instead of the agency that's just supposed to enforce the laws that Congress put on the books already. So for me, in the perfect world, I'd like to see them just get rid of them. Get rid of those policies, get rid of those rules altogether, make all these cases moot and just be done with it. Now, there is kind of another side to this where some people were hoping that these cases might make it up to the Supreme Court, feeling like we would have a big chance of winning, where the Supreme Court would finally say, hey, look, federal government, you can't do this, and maybe put this whole thing to rest so that future administrations can't simply come back in and then have the three-letter agency create a new rule all over again, and then you got to start the whole court process over again. And so that obviously is possible, and that could be a potential problem down the road. So I can see how they would maybe want this to go up to the Supreme Court. But if history shows me anything, it's that the Supreme Court does not like taking these cases. So I'm not sure it would go all the way anyway. Regardless, I would just like to see this kind of plucked out, root and stem, and just have it not exist anymore. But we'll see what happens. I mean, there needs to be a culture shift here in order to get this stuff to stop. And again, as people who are enjoying the benefits of the new administration, seeing some of the things that are coming down, that doesn't mean that we let up. This is our time to push. This is our time to push forward and to let our legislators know that we support stuff like this. We don't support what the previous administration did. Because if we just stay quiet, nothing will ever change. So I wanted to share that with you guys today. I think it's really big news. I want to thank you all very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Please like, subscribe. You guys have a great day.